Patrick Netherton Show, 1130 The Tiger. He's Roger Sampson. I'm Patrick Netherton. Very pleased to have you with us. We welcome you back in as we continue to roll on. Sports, not really at the forefront of what we're doing, so we figured why not bring in a guy whose job is sports? You know, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, just one of my good friends and a guy that I have the utmost respect for. He's one of the good young broadcasters in the business, making his way up. I'd like to tell people he's like the shorter, better-looking, better-voiced version, more successful version of me. He is Adam Amin from ESPN. Adam, what's up, my friend?
I wonder what type of attitude, what type of demeanor, what type of toughness it would have taken for a woman out there to have birthed both of us.
Oh.
Because I feel like it would take a special lady to have to deal with the two of us, because you and I we're essentially the same person.
Yeah, exactly.
We're basically like brothers in a lot of ways. I really have to admire the type of person it would take to deal with us if we were both their offspring.
I thought you meant just physically. I was going to be like, were you a big baby? Like, did I not realize this? Because, I mean, were you a big baby? What was you?
I don't think well, here's the thing. I have a very large head on a kind of a, not tiny body, but like on a small body.
Yeah.
I look like a Dick Tracy villain. Like, I'm a very awkward looking person. So I feel like going back, if you look at the pictures, you're like, this baby looks like it's going to have a bit of a large head. And sure enough, I grew up to have a large head. So I'm kind of a weirdly shaped human being.
Well, I was 9'2" when I was born. So I already felt bad
impressive.
for I already felt bad for my mom to start with. That I came out at that size. I mean, I wasn't Herman Johnson, the largest baby born in the state of Louisiana, who went on to play O-line for the LSU Tigers. But I was a large dude coming out. But I hear what you're saying. Like the personalities being what they are, it couldn't have been the easiest. The good news for me is, Adam, and I had one sister, and she was an absolute hellion growing up. So I, as a kind of a goody two-shoes growing up, I actually got the benefit of that in that I looked like a complete angel my entire life growing up compared to her.
I had the same circumstances because I had three older brothers. Still have three older brothers, all of whom had some kind of rebellious event or nature to them. So all three of my older brothers all put my mom through some kind of ringer at one point or another, or one section of their upbringing over the course of their lives. And because I had seen them make so many mistakes, I ended up being like you. I was very much like straight on the path of straight and narrow, never got in trouble. I got the good grades. And then when I did sneak out or cause trouble or rebel, I kind of got to do it under the radar because I had built up a decent amount of credibility. So I feel like I had some streaks, but not to the point of where my brothers were at.
Yeah, I never even had a rebellious streak at all at any point. And my sister actually to this day is still mad at me for it. She tells me all the time, I had mom prepared. Like, you would have had it easy if you wanted to go raise all the hell in the world. You would have had it good because I'd already greased the skids for you. I'd already taken care of it. And
so she was upset that she put in all this legwork, and then you just let it go to waste by not being, a crazy kid.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically my career, Adam. It's all these other people work hard and get all the success, and I'm just like, what's the path of least resistance for old Patrick? How do I find that? We
there are forks in the road, and sometimes we have to make a decision. And you know what? I don't blame you.
Look,
I don't blame you at all.
I think was it. I can't remember if it was Louis Grizzard or Mark Twain or one of those that said, I came to the fork in the road and I picked it up. That's my, as soon as I hear fork in the road.
I came to a fork in the road, I picked it up, and then consumed a delicious meal after I picked up the fork.
Look, we had Texas barbecue for lunch today. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, we made a little
field
trip.
To hear.
All right, so what do you do? You're basically a creature in captivity at this point. Like, I don't know if you can you sell tickets to have people just staring at you in the windows to see what you're doing? Like, what do you do with yourself when there are no games to call?
I am like the tigers in Tiger King right now. I am in captivity, and I can pretend to be cute and adorable, but at the end of the day, I just go back into my little cage, and here I am being yelled at by a sociopath. No, honestly,
that's me.
What are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do though at this time? You just kind of go at it. I'm not trying to make this sound morbid. I'm not trying to make this sound awful. Not at all. All right. I am a very fortunate human being. I live a very charmed life. I'm well aware of how stupidly lucky I am. I know there are a lot of people much worse off than you or me or a lot of our buddies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the macro 30,000 foot real perspective moment right there.
It's strange, man.
And just for somebody who's used to being on the road, who's used to being, working, having their brain move pretty consistently, to shut it down and completely go 180 is very strange. It's just odd more than anything else because, I have moments in my year, not many, but a few moments in my year where they're like this, here's a week or two or three just to not do anything. And like I said, I'm lucky where my lifestyle hasn't shifted that drastically just yet, which doesn't tell you much, Patrick, other than I'm a lazy idiot more often than not.
Yeah, well, join the club.
Debatable. It's fine. I'll take debatable. That's a win for me. But like you're just so used to going. Your brain's always going. Your mouth's always moving for one purpose or another. And now it's just a complete 180. And I'm trying to figure it out the way everybody else is, and trying to figure out what this new normal is supposed to be like on a day-to-day basis.
Have you at any point gone an entire day yet without speaking?
No, I think I've tried to make it a point to call people.
Okay. I figured you might.
In touch, and that's helped for sure. I have gone days where you just all of a sudden forget sports exists.
Yeah.
And it's been nice having, NFL free agency going. It's been nice to, discuss what college football next year may look like, what the NFL may look like, the possibility of the NBA coming back. All that's great. But it is, it's been nice to not have to necessarily just worry about sports, when it's kind of taken away from our little bubble. Again, a lot of us do live in a very lucky bubble.
Mm-hmm.
When any sports news comes out, it's like chum to the sharks, right? We're jumping on it because it's something resembling normalcy. And right now it's just, let me check in on the other aspects of my friends, my family, people in the business that I'm close to. So this is a little bit of a sense of normalcy today, even though we're not talking sports. This is a nice sense of normalcy in some way. Talking
to Adam Amin from ESPN. It's interesting you say that about morsels of sports and how we kind of jump on any crumbs that we're given. You know me, I'm a different dude anyway, and my show has always been different. It's I told people as soon as they started announcing sports were getting canceled, I said this is my time to shine because my show's never been all sports anyway. Matter of fact, we just had a whole discussion about coyotes and Mr. Ed and some other things. Like we get into all kind of weird topics while we're here. I even mentioned how I fixed my zipper on my shorts with a twist tie from a bread wrapper. So,
all right, MacGyver.
Yeah,
all right, I see you over there.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we're getting into some weird stuff around here. But it's interesting to me because I find myself actually less eager for the smaller morsels. Like I saw on ESPN, Ndamukong Suh may sign with the Buccaneers, and I just go, I guess. Like I can't. For whatever reason, I'm finding myself super apathetic about sports right now. Where even those small morsels I don't jump at, I go, who cares? Call me when they're actually going to talk about maybe playing again.
I completely understand that mindset. 100%, I understand that mindset. And let me say this too, because I think this is without patting ourselves on the back or anything, I do think this is a somewhat important thing to say.
Sure.
I think we've recognized, and by the way, your preamble with all this indicates that you already knew this. And I'd like to believe that a good chunk of me, even though most of my life is devoted to this realm, I'd like to think that I already knew this. But these last few weeks have certainly gone on to prove in many ways how non-essential what we do really is and what we're involved with really is. Like, we've come to learn about how non-essential sports really are in the grand scheme of things. And we've also come to learn how essential they are to us, maybe more significantly essential to us than maybe we even realized prior, because of how much all of this shapes the debate and shapes a good percentage of our conversation nationally as people, just as a culture, as a society, and how much of a percentage sports takes up of culture, of the cultural pie in this country. Like, I think we've also come to recognize how interestingly non-essential and how importantly essential the realm that we work in and reside in is to this country.
Yeah, it's emotionally essential. And here's the thing, Adam. I'm spending my time right now debating, should we let people die to restore the economy, when I really would much rather be debating, hey, where's Tom Brady going to end up? Right? That's so much of a...
We'd much rather talk about the stupid stuff. Like, we'd much, much, much prefer to put the stupid stuff at the forefront, because that means that all the really important stuff is not anything of our concern.
Yeah, it's not a crisis.
If you and I are the average Joe, which, in some ways we certainly are, in some ways maybe we're not, but I think in a lot of ways you and me are probably the average person. When we don't have to worry about the real stuff, it's nice. It's nice to live in a state, and I just mean that, ethereally, not in actual state line.
Illinois or
nice
Louisiana.
To live in a state, exactly, yeah. It's nice to live in a state where the important stuff doesn't have to matter to the average person.
Yeah.
Because that means that everything is fine and dandy, and we can worry about, the back burner stuff like sports. And that's a good time. I miss that. I know you miss that. We also have some perspective to understand, hey, we're not the most important thing in the world. We never were. But it's nice when we are important, because that means the real, actual important stuff is taken care of.
Yeah, as our buddy Timmy B always liked to say, we're in the sandbox of life, and that's where we always have been. And I'd much rather get back
to
Candyland. When the crisis in the world is the referees are terrible because of the call at the end of the Saints-Rams game. Yes. That's the life I want to lead. Not the crisis is a million old people are going to die. Like that's that.
Much simpler times. You're already referring back, and that's what was fun this past weekend. Kind of being seeing people tweet about Duke, Kentucky, 1992 in real time, as if it was happening right now. Like, it's amazing to think that something like that, framed in a different time, decades later, 2.5 decades, almost 3 decades later. It's fascinating to see what our responses to that are. And a simpler time is certainly what all of us long for.
And especially Bill Self live tweeting the Kansas championship. Was it 08 or whichever year it was that they won the title? Yeah. With Chalmers and all that. And live tweeting. He's in there live tweeting the game, talking about, here's what I told him in halftime, and here's the things that we discussed here. That's awesome. That's the kind of stuff I'd love to see. It's great. Hey, what shows are you knocking out now? What do you recommend to the folks that are, especially in Louisiana? We've now been put in a stay-at-home mode since Monday afternoon. So give us some shows, Netflix, whatever you're looking at. What are you watching that we need to be checking out?
Absolutely. We've been in this mode for a little while. We've had this kind of shelter in place thing going. We've already been quarantining for a while here. So I've had plenty of time, almost 2 full weeks, in my apartment at this point. And I'll tell you, anything. Well, first off, you and me, if you haven't watched Ugly Delicious yet, the new season of Ugly Delicious is out. David Chang's show. Jon Favreau put out another season of The Chef Show. So just great. I mean, they're celebrity interviews or whatever, but I like the process. I like, and you're a process guy when it comes to food too, Patrick. I know you enjoy seeing how the stuff is made, what makes things unique and different. I love those 2 shows that try to really dive into the food aspect and the nuance of a lot of that stuff. And then I said it at the top, man. I could not stop watching Tiger King. I finished it in 2 days.
Yeah.
7 episodes of like 40 minutes each. Every 20 minutes, it feels like there's a new twist a new turn to any of these half deplorable, half rootable characters, easily cheerable characters. Like, it's incredible the amount of twists and turns that took place. There's a podcast that I downloaded I want to listen to now. Tiger King blew me away. And then if you want a little comfort food, for me, it's Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, I love it.
One of my favorite comedy shows ever. It's just a great, bingeable, I could just flip that on, and if I got to burn some time and I want to sit around or whatever, that's a great shut your mind off for, an hour, watch 3 episodes type of show.
Yeah, I love Brooklyn Nine-Nine. It absolutely is one of my favorites. All right, brother, look, be safe, be careful out there. I know you're sheltering in place. If you need someone to talk to, holler at me. I'm always available, and don't go too stir crazy, my friend.
No, we'll try not to. Appreciate you boys, appreciate your fans. You guys stay healthy and safe, brother.
All right. Amin, ESPN, just a good dude.